So today we are talking about the blues, but there are many types of blues. And usually when someone's like play the blues in A, they mean play 3/7 chords, which is kind of like the major blues, right? So if you're feeling really down, like if you have like the terminal illness blues, and you're like, give me some blues in A, and then they're like, okay, cool. That's not really the sound of terminal illness. That's kind of the sound of things aren't going my way, but it's going to be all right. So today we're going to learn the sound of the minor blues, which kind of follows a very similar pattern, but we're going to use minor chords instead of dominant 7 chords, right? So if you don't know how to make the 12-bar blues, I'm going to link you to a different video, but we're going to assume that you kind of understand the structure of how a 1-4-5 works, but we're still going to talk about it in a minor context, and we're going to do it with a couple chords and one arpeggio shape, right? So we're going to do it in A minor, right? So what's going to be really important here is going to be the A minor pentatonic scale, right? And we're going to put them all together with an arpeggio shape, and it's going to sound something like this. Okay, so it's going to follow a pattern, but we're going to use some of the minor arpeggios that we've been talking about in other videos, right? So again, it's in A minor, so we're going to start with the A, which is the 5th fret on the E string, and we're just going to learn one arpeggio shape. So an arpeggio is the A minor chord played one note at a time. We've got an A, a C, and an E. So 5 on the E string, to 8 on the E string, to 7 on the A string. A, C, E. And if you watch the other video, you can kind of extend this shape, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the A on the A string, which is the 12th fret. So we're going to go right here. And instead of thinking of this as two different ideas, arpeggio 1 and arpeggio 2, we're going to put them together, right? So the second half of this is going to be, we're going to slide here. And once we get to the A here, we're going to find our minor third, our C, which is the 10th fret of the D string, and then into the E, which is the 9th fret of the G string. So we have A, C, E, A, C, E. Okay, so this is going to be the first part of our 1 chord, if you want to look at it that way, right? A minor. And instead of playing just A minor, replacing that spot with an arpeggio. So this is still like a chord, but it's more of like a little exercise that you can use to kind of move around the fretboard. And then the next part of that bar is going to be using that pentatonic scale that we did. And we're just going to kind of mirror what we just heard. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 notes playing there. I'm going to try to recreate that same rhythm, that same cadence, but in the minor pentatonic scale. And I'm going to do it like this. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now they're not necessarily the same notes. In fact, what I've got going on here, I'm in that A minor pentatonic scale. I'm on the G string, bending it up from 7 back to 5 to 7D, back to 5G, back to 7D, which is an A. So it kind of resolves on that A. So I'm combining one arpeggio with one scale shape to kind of make a fluid. This part right here, you can think of that as a lick. By the way, I hate the term lick for like a cool sequence of notes. Like, I don't want to learn any licks from anybody. I think we need to come up with a better term for that. But that's besides the point. So that's going to be kind of our A thing. Now the next thing we're going to go to is just down a string. This would be the 4 chord, but now it's minor. Right? We're going to do the same thing. Same minor shape. We've got a 1, a minor third, a 5. I'm going to slide to the D, D minor. The D on the D string is just the octave E, the 12th fret. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. So the B string offsets, so it's almost the same shape as there, but if you start here, which is kind of part of a D bar chord, like that D minor bar chord, right? So now we're going to go back into that A minor pentatonic shape. maybe play something a little bit different, right? Now, one thing that you might want to do, since this is a very D-centric thing going on, this is D's spot in this progression, you might want to incorporate the D note into it, which is going to be the 9th fret of the G string, right? So after we go, something like that, right? So that was just, I started on the D here, which is the 9th fret, 7, 9, down a string, and then you go back to the 1 chord. And you can get more creative. You don't always have to do that. You could do something a little more creative, like a. So after like you do the arpeggio. I'm just kind of bending up right there, and then hitting the B and E string. Really, any kind of minor pentatonic lick or riff. I don't even know a better word for that. I'm going to think about that. Please, let me know what a better word for lick is so we can start changing this. Because I just feel uncomfortable saying that on camera. But yeah, anything you want to replace in the A minor pentatonic scale is going to work in that spot. So we've got a couple bars of A down to the 4 chord, the minor 4 chord, right? D minor, back to A. Now, generally, this is where you can kind of get creative the last couple bars. Is like in the 12-bar blues, a lot of times you go to the 5. Then back to the 4, right? Now you can still do that. Like if we're in the key of A minor, E minor would be the chord. And you can do the same thing, like back to the D, back to the A. But one cool thing that you could do with the minor blues is instead of going to E minor, you could actually go to an F major, and it sounds really cool, and then walk that back to an E major, something that happens a lot, right? So for example, I'll just kind of like speed through it. So we've got the A, then the D, back to the A, to an F, to an E, to an A. Right, so that kind of F to an E thing is just kind of, it's almost acting like the replacement for the 9th and 10th bars of the original 12-bar blues, but kind of incorporating a little bit of a major vibe into it to kind of switch it up, right? So that's just something that you can kind of get creative with and switch out, whatever you like the sound of. I think it's really cool to kind of add that F major in there. If you want to go one step further, make it an F major 7 into an E 7 to an A. Right? So you can play the whole thing as chords. If you don't want to do the arpeggio lick thing, you could just be like A minor 7 to D minor 7, back to A minor 7. And then you go to a D minor 7, then back to the A minor 7. You can still throw in the then F, major 7, E7, back to the A. So it's just kind of a thing that sounds more sad. Like it's not like kind of like the peppy blues, which, maybe sometimes you can have an ear for. It really just also depends on what's going on around it too. But definitely the minor blues is something to think about, because I remember when I was first starting out, when someone said blues in A, I didn't know if that meant A minor or if that meant A major. Usually what that means is like the A major chords, but as a 7, like a 1-7. If you ever see like a Roman numeral 1 with a 7 next to it, that means the 1 chord, which is a major chord, but dominant 7, which means you add a minor 7 over it, right? So to actually have a full-on minor blues, you have to change the chords around, and that's A minor, D minor, and then either E minor or like an F and an E, right? There's a lot of different variations that you can use with it, but it's definitely something that you want to go to because it has a similar sound to kind of like that blues that we all know and love, but it has more of like a somber tone to it. So definitely experiment with it, and let me know if you have any questions.